welcome to the last day of Ignite. I'm sure you are all tired now, and that is why I hate to break it to you, but I'm going to make you be interactive in this session. I'm going to ask things, and if you don't respond, it's going to be a weird, awkward silence, which I am fine with, but the rest of you might be less so. So I'm also going to kind of stand to the side because I'm short, and this podium hides most of me, so I'll move around a little bit. And also, I will be giving away a copy of my book to someone who is particularly helpful and participatory. So if that helps with bribery, then so it does. So hello, everyone. I'm Cindy Alvarez, and I'm going to talk about some of the engineering culture change work that we've had underway at Microsoft, really for the last few years, but a lot about the last year, because I feel like we learned a lot and we made a lot of mistakes. And I like sharing those so that hopefully you can make new and different mistakes instead of the ones that we have already made. As I'm talking, I have examples for a lot of things, but if there are things that are top of mind for you or happening in your company, when I ask if you can shout them out, that will also be helpful, because the more I can give examples that are relevant to you, the better. So I'm part of a group called One Engineering System at Microsoft, and it's a group that was formed several years ago to try and help us build better products, to try and help us ship faster, be more efficient, build off each other's work. And I joined to kind of bring the product aspect into it because it was very engineering-focused, code-focused before. And really, the two don't exist in a vacuum. Product and engineering both have to be doing the right thing in order to ship the right thing for our customers. Everything is going to be online afterwards, so feel free to take pictures of slides, but you also don't need to. The first two links are already online. There's a white paper and a 1ES story. So you can get those online right now. And I will be putting all the slides on Twitter and LinkedIn on Monday. Again, there's some templates in there that people might find useful. OK, so I talked to all your managers, and everyone in the audience is absolutely committed to trying one of the tactics we're going to discuss in this talk in the next month, and then report back on the results. Yeah, I am just kidding. I don't know all your managers, although, yeah. Basically, this is the way most culture change lands in most companies, though. There's a lot of decisions that are made with very good intentions, and someone comes out and is basically like, guess what? You're all signed up for this. And what happens when we do that? You're all thinking things like this. You're like, what if this talk is terrible? Like, I don't want to sign up for this. Like, maybe this is not going to be relevant. I'm about to get on a plane. Like, my brain is full from this past week. I don't even know why I should do this, and I'm not sure if there's going to be any benefit here. And then my favorite one is, especially in large companies, like, if I just do nothing, is anything bad actually going to happen? Can I just sit in the back row and ignore this and it will go away? And I'm really open about sharing this because this exact same thing happened with my organization. A little over a year ago, the people in the One Engineering System team, the leadership team, sat together and we wrote this great strategy paper. And it was based on a lot of input we had from other teams about things they were struggling with. It was kind of our vision of this is how we want Microsoft product engineering to go. It was all very smart. It was also something devised in a room with about a dozen people. And so when we all emerged from that room and said, guess what, everyone? This is what we're doing, we got a lot of like, where'd this come from? And do I have to? And actually no resistance. And it's not because the ideas are bad. I mean, I like to think our ideas are good, but most likely most of your ideas are good too. It's just that it's kind of human nature. And those of you who have children know it's really obvious with children, that human nature, when you tell someone to do something and they're like, well, I don't want to. Who says I have to? That doesn't go away when we get older. We're just better at hiding it. So I'm going to talk through some of the principles and tactics that we kind of learned the hard way and how you can get around some of these. The first one, why is more important than what? And this is really hard to do because usually if you have been in a position for a while, you have domain expertise, you have industry knowledge, you have a pretty good sense of the what. Like, if we do this, this thing will happen. But the problem is what feels prescriptive. It feels like telling your kid to clean up their room, and I don't want to. And what we really want to do to motivate people is to share with them why this thing matters. Why is it that I want you to brush your teeth or that I want you to write secure code? Like, there is a reason. I'm not just doing this to be mean. And starting with why is actually really hard. So we're going to do an exercise here. I need 2 volunteers. This should be sort of fun. I'm not going to put you on the spot too much. So 2 volunteers. Okay. You are going to be the person who's kind of afraid of losing your job. Like, I'm going to talk about something, and you're worried about how this is going to affect you. Other volunteer, you are going to be the heckler. I mean, you're both kind of heckling. But you're the one who's like, I don't buy this. This is no good. Okay, now, someone, I have examples, but let's see if we can get one from the audience. Someone talk about a change that's happening within your company, or that is about to happen. Or agile. Okay, great. So, as you know, everyone, we've been working the way we've been working for a long time, and digital transformation is really important. So all of our engineering teams are going to adopt agile, and we're going to do some pre-work right now, but first of the year we're going to come out, and then all of our engineering is going to be following the agile methodology. So between now and then, everyone's going to get training. We're all going to figure out how this works out so that we're ready to start the new year running. So feel free to heckle in my 2 hecklers. So we're going to have to figure that out. They're going to obviously change. We need to talk to some of our engineering managers to make sure that we're reporting on the right things. We'll be doing some workshops, so every team will get to go through and do some workshops and get all of your questions answered.
But my team is super productive now. Why do I need to change methodologies?
So most of our competitors are working on agile, and we want to make sure that we're continuing to build things quickly. Anything else?
Well, the last place I worked, it was kind of BS because they rolled out agile, and I didn't really see a lot of changes. It just seems there's a lot of, people losing any kind of sense of responsibility.
Well, the way you roll out agile can really impact how it affects the team. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. Okay, so also good. Is this another management gimmick of change? Awesome. These are the things that we hear all the time. And as you can see, on the spot, I'm doing a terrible job of defending this. Like, as someone who works in agile and thinks that it's, agile-ish, small a agile, like, I think it's a great methodology. I think building things faster is a good idea. I think learning quickly is a good idea. I also think that it's really hard to defend a decision on the spot. And I have seen very few leaders who are very good at doing this. And usually we kind of revolve to things like, well, our competitors are doing it, and, well, we can't keep doing what we're doing today, and it doesn't work, right? So you don't want to sound like me up here right now, because I was floundering all over the place, and none of you are convinced that this is a good idea. So one of the things that we've started employing, and we do this within my division, and we've been rolling this out to other teams as well, and this is a completely voluntary thing. It's just starting with why. So before you make that announcement, before you stand up at that all hands and start talking about agile, take some time to write this out in advance so you don't sound like an idiot. And if you have a bunch of people who are going to do this, have everyone do this exercise. This is excellent to do as a leadership team where everyone does this on stickies, so you have no groupthink. And then you compare them in the center, because inevitably, no matter how closely you've been working with a team, you will all have different variations on this. And what happens when you all go to your teams and you all tell those different variations on this? Yeah, everyone in the hallway compares notes, and they compare notes about the difference between what their manager said and what your manager said, and do they really know what they're talking about? And it causes a lot of dissent and confusion. So, we are going to make this transformation to agile because we see the problem of. And in this case, it may be, look, across the company, our rate of shipping is really slow. There are obviously some teams that are doing better than others, but if we look across the company, it's taking us months to get things to market, and that's time that our customers are not getting that value. That's time that we're not learning. And meanwhile, our competitors are getting things out in the market very quickly. They're learning very quickly, and that's a compounding advantage. We know it's a problem because, and this may require some research, like I probably don't know this off the top of my head, but it's the sort of thing where I might go to engineering managers and say, how is our shipping going? Like, how is our shipping velocity impacting your team? What are you field? What are you hearing customers complain about? What is our turnaround time, getting things out? Like, what is the actual evidence of the problem. And if I don't have evidence of the problem, I kind of have no business getting up in an all hands and saying, we're going to do this. So this is a research activity a lot of times, and we usually have an innate sense of the problem, but not that evidence. So we go get it, and then we say, if we don't fix it, here's what's going to happen. Like if we continue at our current shipping cadence, we are going to continue falling farther behind. When we fix it, we'll get, and again, that's something, we'll get this benefit of people will see the impact of their work more quickly. People who are doing great creative work will get that validated more quickly. When you're doing good work, we'll be able to reward it more effectively. So writing something like this down in the beginning, then when you go into that all-hands meeting or you send that email, or this doesn't have to be a director level kind of thing. I do this with very small projects. This works really well when you're doing cross-team collaboration, especially when it's potentially contentious. So sending out something like this as a pre-read to a meeting has really helped with the kind of meetings that people dread. And that was actually an exercise that my team is we worked with some internal teams, and we asked them, what's your least favorite meeting? And we said, we promise we won't tell the other attendees. What is the meeting that you just dread on your calendar? And can we tag along? And we did, and it was fascinating. Most of them, since I'm in San Francisco, I'm remote for anything anyway, so as being on a Teams call, no one really noticed. And if they did, I would just say that I was helping with the project. And we listened to a lot of these dreadful meetings, and they were mostly, could be tied back to teams not listening to each other, and teams not being clear on why they were doing anything in the first place. So you get people lobbying for two different outcomes, or three different outcomes, and no one was actually saying why their thing was better. They were just kind of trying to shout over each other. And that was very common, and it was not always shouting. Sometimes it was quiet, but it was always kind of lacking this. So starting things off here. There's two more. We believe we can be successful at this because, and this last one is really interesting. If it's a big change, if you're in a position of leadership, you might not know what the impact is on someone who is very close to the change. If you're a director of engineering, you might not know what an individual engineer is going to suffer from this. And you can't guess, you can go ask. And so one thing I've done for VPs a lot is kind of go down that chain and say, this thing is coming, how's it going to impact you? And collect that, and then kind of boil it back up and say, look, when I talk to your frontline devs, this is what they're worried about. When I talk to your entry-level PMs, this is what they're worried about. And just so you know, so you can speak to it, and you're not necessarily going to have a solution, but just acknowledging this is going to be painful. Yes, for those of you who've been through bad agile transformations before, there's going to be some scar tissue. This is going to feel a little bit painful, but also we want to know why it was bad last time so we can fix it. And that opens a much better dialogue. Yeah. Yeah.
So for us to go talk to people who are actually impacted by this, we potentially to talk about it first, given the why exercise, and then go back and collect the feedback. How do you do that is effective? Because if you do it without providing the context, then they would not even know what you're talking about.
Sure. So that's a great question. Do we do this and then kind of do research? Typically, if there's something that's rolling down, and in a big enterprise there often is, this might be something where my leadership team would go to the next level and say, here's what we think we're going to do. We don't know what this impact is going to be. Could you use your judgment? You know your team. Can you feel around and kind of figure out how do people feel today, what's going on? You don't have to tell them this change is going, but kind of taking a temperature of what's currently bothering them or what they're currently worried about, or even like what do you kind of think will change? Most people have an idea in mind of like, oh, if the big bosses roll out this, it's going to be terrible. But this can be a loop too. A lot of times, as much as it's useful to prepare, usually what happens is there's some meeting that goes terribly, and then everyone kind of reconvenes and says, okay, that wasn't so great. How do we recover? And it's usually just kind of being honest and going through this a few more times and saying like, hey, last time, the way we communicated clearly didn't set a lot of your minds at ease. We've gathered some additional information that we think would be helpful. Outcomes over methods. And again, if you've been doing this for a long time, you probably have a sense of something. So saying we're rolling out Agile is actually a terrible example because that's a method. That is not an outcome. So it's not super productive to say we're going to do X. if we start with that why, it sort of forces us towards outcomes. If the desired outcome for me is we want to learn more quickly, we want to get our ideas validated more quickly, Agile is one method that might work. It is not the only method. And I might not know what those methods are, but I hire smart people. A lot of times they can figure things out. And so this is another case where, again, as a group of leadership folks, a lot of times we kind of come in guns blazing with a method. And if we talk about the outcomes, that actually gives people much more ownership. So rather than kind of saying, these are the things we're going to do, we started repeating some of our desired outcomes. What do we want? We want some compliant and secure code. Yes, we have some tools that we think you should use. We have some methods that we think you should use. You should probably automate. You should probably shift left. But honestly, if you can get trained pigeons to somehow get you to produce compliant and secure code, I'm cool with that. As long as they sign an NDA. We want to ship faster. That might be Agile. It might be something else. We want to understand our customers' needs and behaviors. We want to improve the individual developer experience, so you're not spending forever waiting for a build to go. We want to increase psychological safety in teams. We want teams to feel like they can speak up without fear of reprisal, or they can pursue crazy ideas. And the thing is that defining a method for this is not super productive. And I think one of the things that made that really clear is Microsoft has acquired a lot of startups. Pretty much every startup we have acquired ships differently than the way the Office team and the Windows team build products. And they are shipping quickly, and they are learning quickly. And so there's no point in saying, hello, new startup, do things the way that this massive team does things, because they're already achieving these outcomes, even if they're not achieving the same methods. And when the One Engineering System team was born, it was really kind of born of, let's get everyone using the same processes, and that will cut down on a lot of siloing of knowledge and a lot of wasted time. But that was a methods-first version versus an outcomes-first version. And when we've kind of said, these are the outcomes we want, we've gotten a lot more compliance in terms of teams saying, OK, we'll use the tools you suggest, or teams saying, great, we'll get back to you on how we're going to get those outcomes because we want to do it our own way. And it doesn't really matter which. We've talked a lot about our inspiration for measuring outcomes. So it's a harder thing to measure a lot of times. People are very fond of things like NPS or things like, even things like lines of code, which is not super productive. So books we've been sharing a lot. Accelerate, it's a great book, talks a lot about DevOps metrics and some of the behaviors and tactics that lead to or are highly correlated with very successful companies with great customer responses. The Fearless Organization talks a lot about psychological safety. So again, if you want to innovate, if you want to try new things, it needs to be safe to speak up and to admit to mistakes and to say, wait, why are we still doing this thing? It's not serving us anymore. How to measure anything is really good for if you've got the kind of manager who wants, numerical metrics all the time. They don't always make sense. And this book I found gave me a lot of good talking points to say, like, hey, now is not the time for NPS. Now is not the time for a 100-point CSAT survey. And then my book, Lean Customer Development. So I talk about what actually makes customers' lives better, not just what is the feature they want or how are we going to meet the checkboxes that our competitors have. So we share those a lot. We reference those a lot. And as I talked about metrics, that's a good segue, that in the beginning, when you are changing personal responses and having people kind of come up to you and unprompted talk about what you're doing is much more valuable. That is how we've been measuring early success over baseline metrics. And Microsoft loves some metrics, and perhaps your companies do too as well. But it's actually really damaging to measure too early because people don't know what you're doing. And so in the early days when my team formed, we were doing some assessments of how product engineering teams function. And it was really influenced very strongly by that Accelerate book. We kind of had this list of these are great practices. We want to see who's doing them and how they're implementing them and how we can make more of it. When we tried to go measure teams who weren't familiar with this book, we got a lot of, wait, why should I do this? Am I going to be judged? Is my team going to be, deemed unworthy because I don't follow this set of criteria? Or we got data that was no good because people didn't actually understand the metric by which they were being shipped. So you'd get people who were like, oh yeah, our build process is great. And I'd say, how long does it take you to get a build out? And they're like, well, we can get one out in like 3 days. I'm like, ooh, that's, on the scale of things, maybe not great, maybe faster than some teams, but on an absolute scale, probably not the best. People would say the same things around things like employee retention. Oh yeah, we keep people on our team for a long time, and then we would try and figure out what that long time was, and it was not. So if you don't know what the universe of possible responses is, you're not very good at saying, we are good at this, or we could use some help at this, or we are direly awful at this. And so you get a lot of bad data. So we collected a lot of bad baseline metrics and then threw them all out and said, forget it. We're going to start looking for things like this. So instead, we'd go to teams and say, these are some things we're trying to push. These are some outcomes we would like. Here are some articles we found interesting. And we started getting unsolicited replies from people kind of saying, this is interesting. Like, I want to read more. Or, my team actually decided to do a book club and read that book you mentioned. And we've been discussing it. And we decided to try something. Can we give you feedback? Do you need help? And getting that has been the marker for success in this kind of early stage. We've been at this for a little under a year. And that sounds like a long time, but in that time, what has actually happened is that a lot of teams have kind of picked up something we've given them and run with it. And so now we're getting to that point where we can measure outcomes because teams have adopted processes that have made them actually more successful. So middle-out ownership has been much more effective than a top-down mandate. It's sort of related. It's bottom-up. A lot of times people talk about grassroots. That's actually really hard to pull off in a very big enterprise. If you have one person who really cares about something, even 2 people, it just doesn't stack up against the weight of a massive enterprise company. We have a lot of hierarchy. We have a lot of process. We have a lot of customers. You probably do as well. And so you can't have a couple of voices stand up against that and not kind of get overpowered. But a group or a team taking on one of these outcomes and saying, hey, we believe in this and we're going to try and solve it our own way has been really effective. And so one of the things that we've seen in parts of Microsoft, my team falls under the cloud and AI division. And Scott Guthrie has been amazing at setting expectations of behavior without mandating certain things. So one of those expectations is talking to customers. If you're in a pillar review with Scott Guthrie, he will ask you, what customers did you talk to? It's not you have to talk to 5 or you have to talk to 10 or they have to have given you this level of response. But it's just, I expect that when you come to me, you will have some customer evidence. And so individual teams have implemented that in different ways. And some people do interviews, and some people are at conferences constantly, and some people are in Stack Overflow, like monitoring their segment of channel. But essentially, everyone has this level of customer ownership. And as you go from team to team within developer division and developer services, you'll see teams that have kind of said, this is our flavor of how we do this. And there's a concept in psychology. Obviously, this version of the name is newer. The endowment effect, I think, is the older one, but I love the IKEA effect. People value things more if they feel ownership over them, if they feel like they built it themselves. So you put together that bookshelf, it is better than all the other Billy bookshelves out there. If you have an idea and your team runs with it, you are more likely to stick with it. You're more likely to talk about it to other people. You're more likely to try and strengthen it and say, hey, we tried this, let's try a little bit more. So getting people to do that, a lot of times we found, is presenting the problem, not the solution. And starting with that first question, like I said, how do you think things are going? So coming into a team, whether they're performing excellently as far as you can tell from the outside, or whether they really seem like they're struggling, what you perceive from the outside is going to be different from how a team perceives themselves, and how they perceive themselves is what's actually going to drive their behavior forward. So you might look at a team and be like, wow, they need to get their act together. They are missing, every KPI, they are missing every deadline. They might think they're performing exceptionally well. You might have a team that is performing exceptionally well and is beating themselves up over, like not getting this build time down from 4 minutes to 3 or things like that. Not getting their NPS from, 180 to 185. So we start with, how do you think things are going? In a kind of general sense. So every team that my team talks to starts with some kind of a version like that. Tell me about how your team's doing. Tell me about what a week looks like. And based on that, you can kind of gauge read the room and see, like, how do you go into that next view of, hey, there's a problem and we need to solve it, or kind of soft play, like, well, here's a thing that we've noticed globally. So when you've got a team who says, look, my teammates are great, I really love what we're working on, we're really struggling with X, then you can say, okay, great, we've noticed that that's a problem, let's talk about how we can fix it. If you have a team that thinks they're going well, you can kind of acknowledge, like, it's great to hear that your team's doing a good job with collaboration. Like, it's great to hear that your team is really getting along and gelling. Here's the thing that we've noticed globally. Like, we're not learning quickly enough. We're not getting feedback from our customers on a regular basis. Here's why this is a problem. Our competitors are shipping quickly. They are learning from their customers. Customers are telling us that, other competitors are more responsive. How might this problem be directly impacting you? And again, you're feeling for that judgment of like, oh, you're right, we are frustrated because we're not sure if we're building the right thing. Or you might get, hey, we don't really care about this. We're we're doing a really good job. We're writing really good code. We're designing really good mock-ups. Where you kind of be like, okay, this is yes and. How is that making the customer's life better? So when we kind of present the problem, and then we might go back to that start with why, then we say, like, well, what could we try that might fix the problem? And sometimes you have to say, okay, like, devil's advocate, let's just say that it is a problem that we're not shipping quickly enough. Like, I know that's not something your team is feeling right now, but if it were, how might we try and fix that? What might we fix today? Or how might we address something that's really holding your team back in another way? Because sometimes people are just really set on a different problem, and if you fix that different problem from them, you got a lot more momentum to say, now let's focus on this other thing. And so doing a lot of that kind of discussion has really helped teams embrace change in a way that feels more like it is their own. And sometimes just allowing people to complain about a thing, like, oh, agile, like every time I've seen this roll out, it's been a disaster. We'll have meetings where we let people complain, and that can be really valuable. You have a shift at some point where you move that into something more productive. But a lot of times complaints have a root of truth in them. It's like there have been a million failed enterprise change projects, and most of them had lessons that we could learn from. And we want to, if we know that something is going to run a risk or is going to be a pain for people, like, let's try and figure out how to make that not happen. And so even when we have folks who are adamantly against a change, we try and frame it in terms of, okay, you're right, this could be a total disaster. I want to hear all the ways in which it could be a disaster so that we can try to prevent them. And sometimes it's, what would you like me to anonymously send up to your managers so that they can fix things? I'm not going to throw you under the bus, but if I'm going to deliver feedback on what a team is concerned about, like, what do you need your directors to know? So explicit trade-offs over unwanted defaults. What's a behavior that someone's company is trying to push more of? So something that your company is trying to get more people to do. Training. So in trying to get people to invest more in learning new things?
In communicating better, like new systems and things that we're doing, training the other.
Okay, so when new technology is happening, you want the people who know about it to train everyone else so everyone else knows what's going on. How is that accounted for in your work right now? It is not, right. Okay, so great. So if I'm your manager and I want you to spend more time training, I'm probably going to say something like, oh, it would really be great if your team could make sure that other teams in the company are trained. If I leave it there, what's going to happen? Right. You're going to fall back to unwanted defaults. So like another classic example is, I think every tech company in the world at some point has had at least some of their employees enamored by the Google 20% time, which is not really 20% of time, but we'll put that aside. Everyone's kind of heard of that, like, oh, every employee gets 20% of time to work on a side project. And either managers or individuals will be like, I want this. Like, I want to do this. And I have heard very few managers who are willing to endorse this. And if you talk to them, a very common reply is like, look, I would never tell my team they could have 20% time. And I say, oh, well, tell me more about that. And they're like, look, if I say that, then I'm just going to get people who feel like they have one day every week to like screw around however they want. There's going to be people who take advantage of it. It's not going to get me anything great. And besides, the people who have something really interesting to work on, they'll just make it happen. How often do you think that happens? Essentially never. If we do not make explicit trade-offs, you get the same unwanted defaults. And so again, giving an explicit guideline, or if you are the person you are not the manager, asking for an explicit guideline or proposing one has been really useful. So if I want, let's say, diversity inclusion is a big push right now within Microsoft. We want to hire a more diverse set of people. At the same time, every manager I've known, and as a manager I will say the same thing, which is we have open spots, let's fill them fast. And so what happens when we don't give an explicit trade-off? People default to their old default, which is fill that position fast, which usually doesn't get us a diverse set of candidates considered. So if I were to say, look, if there's a trade-off between filling your open PM role quickly and making sure you talk to a diverse set of candidates, choose the diverse set of candidates. And because we don't want people to go ridiculously overboard, you can say something like, look, up to about 20% more. If it takes you 20 to 25% longer to fill this position, but you've been able to talk to a wider variety of people, I endorse that. And so that gives people a guideline. And some people will not take it, or some people will push the edges, but generally you've defined something that's okay. I support that trade-off because our customers look like all kinds of people, and therefore we should too. If there's a trade-off between exploring a new idea and just doing exactly what's on your to-do list, explore new ideas. Up to, if it's something really interesting, sure, take up to a day a week. It should be something really interesting for that, but if no one is taking that time, then I, as a manager, have failed. I support that trade-off because we want to explore new ideas. And this actually empowers people to a tremendous degree. Even really senior people will often have this sense of, like, should I really take that time? Should I really do this thing? And it's really helpful to have this guidance of, yes, do the right thing. Sometimes there's a limit in there. Sometimes it's, absolutely do the right thing. Like, have secure code, yes, like, go all the way on that. Choose ecologically friendly vendors. Okay, maybe up to 10% more expensive, or 20%. When this changes, you usually have to be really explicit that you want a desired change. So for things like, I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of diversity initiatives struggle, is because companies say, like, this is important, but they haven't said, okay, in the past this was acceptable, and now we are trying something different. And I'll give an example. Is within my division, who actually works to help product teams and engineering teams work better, we had a situation where individual contributors were saying, yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff I wish I could learn. Like, there's some new frameworks I think would help us develop faster. I think if we upgraded, this system, we could deploy faster. If we did this, we could write more accessible code. I just don't have time. Then you would talk to the same managers, and the managers would say, I wish the people on my team would invest more in learning. Like, I really feel like, our build systems could be better if we just take a little time to invest in upgrades, or, explore some new frameworks, or explore new processes. But it's just not happening, and I don't know why. Because both teams have an assumption of what the behavior should be. And so we started saying, like, look, everyone, take the time. It's worthwhile. If something is going to save you, 10 minutes a day every single day, and everyone, that's multiplied across everyone on the team, like, yes, take the morning off and do that thing, because we'll get compound results from it. Still wasn't happening, and so we started something explicit, which is we now have a monthly day of learning. No meetings on the calendar, managers participate too, we have some set trainings, but it is explicit and it is sent to everyone, and the expectation is go learn something. We don't care what. If you'd like to do some of our preset training, we have some trainings. If you want to just read one of the books that's on our reading list, awesome. If you want to learn something that's unrelated to your job, but in the vague sense of technology, it'll probably come in handy. And setting that as a calendar marker has been amazing. And we got, again, it was one of those things where we're looking for the personal responses. I cannot count the number of people who would just shoot me a chat and say, like, I've been meaning to do this for months. Like, I learned in 3 hours this thing that's going to help me be super productive, and I just never felt like it was okay to take that 3 hours to do it. but I had nothing on my calendar, and everyone else was learning stuff, and so I took that step. And so giving that really explicit permission. And I went to all the directors and I said, what are you doing on this day? Because we were going to share it. And so we shared it out, like my boss and my skip, and we're like, this person is going to learn about Kubernetes. Like, this person is going to finish reading this book. This person is going to play with, GitHub Actions. And everyone kind of had this sense of, oh, wow, they're taking this seriously. And so that explicit permission was really necessary to kind of mark this sense of, okay, whatever we said in the past, forget from now on, we are setting this one day, and we hope that this day makes you feel like it's okay to take other time when you need it as well. So finally, I have been talking a lot, and so we're going to, this is where we're actually going to make you do things. Active practice is a lot more useful than passive training. So me telling you all this stuff is not nearly as useful as you practicing this. And we found this a lot with communication is we do a lot of customer interviewing, and when we would talk about these are the kinds of questions to ask, we found that people were like, okay, that's great, I have the questions, but I actually just want to try this out a few times. And so we started doing exercises of pairing people up, and kind of like the role play we did before, say like, okay, you're the customer, this is your concern. Okay, you're the PM, you're trying to learn what they're doing. Here's some questions, go. And we would have people do these kind of 5-minute sessions. Same thing with the start with why. We had people do a start with why, write it down, and then try and explain to someone who was trying to be a little bit antagonistic, and it gave them that practice of answering with fluency. So we have just a few minutes, so we'll do this really quickly, but it's still great. Meetings. Is there anyone in the room who really loves meetings? Okay, good. I figured that was a safe topic that people generally dislike. Cluster into small groups, and luckily we have the space to do this without being too loud. So move to where you are near a few people, and we're going to do a brief exercise. And this is something that we've done at kind of the 1-hour scale for big problems, and where the problems aren't quite known yet. In this case, I've given you a really scoped problem, which you can take in any sense. So meetings, I'm sure a lot of you have bad meetings or too many, or they're just awful in some way. So get into your groups. And we're going to go through 3 stages. We're going to complain, where everyone kind of gets to talk about things they don't like about meetings. And then I'll call time. And then we'll summarize. And then we'll brainstorm. So go ahead and get into your groups. And I'll give you about 3 minutes for complaining. I think you probably won't have to think too hard about what you hate about meetings. So go. Okay. Let's summarize. So, one or two from this group. What are bad things about meetings? What did you discuss?
No agenda.
Okay, no agenda. Anything else big?
Wrong participants.
Wrong participants. Okay. This group.
Takes you away from productive time.
Takes away from productive time.
Relevancy, that it's not just the wrong people are in the meetings, but there are 100 people in the meeting when maybe you need 3.
Right. So too many people, not the right people. No good advice, nothing, and no outcomes come out of it. Okay.
No decision maker.
There's no decision maker. We don't know who the decision maker is. Not detailed enough? Okay, so like, okay. All those? All right.
Couple more, no action items, but also meetings are too long, so things actually start to happen towards the end rather than using the whole.
Right. Over-allocated time. I set every meeting to 30 or 45 minutes. It's like, it is amazing the degree to which meetings are often 45 minutes and not an hour, but if you make it an hour, everyone fills that in. All right, we'll take a couple of minutes. Let's do it as a group since we only have a couple. Brainstorm, what might we change? What might your team or teams be willing to experiment with? And I found that people are very willing to experiment with things. They don't want to change things, but we'll try it for 2 weeks or we'll try it for 3 weeks, and then if it's terrible, we'll go back. What experiments might we try to fix some of these things?
Instruct everyone to refuse a meeting that has no agenda.
We actually, if you look at my Microsoft signature file, it actually has a don't accept meetings without agendas, and it's got a little template for how to sort of diplomatically ask for an agenda. So yes, that is an experiment. Some teams have latched onto it, not everyone, but I have found that I ask for agendas all the time, and it helps a lot. So what else?
Whoever called the meeting has to write down the action items from that meeting.
Whoever called the meeting has to write agenda items, action items.
We moved to experiment with 15-minute stand-up meetings for my director because he didn't want to sit in back-to-back meetings for an hour at a time.
Yeah? Yeah.
If you can't do it in 15 minutes, you don't need to do it.
And I find that things like setting a time box like that, if that's an absolute, then you think about, well, what do we need to do? Because it takes so long to get started. It's like, if we only have 15 minutes, maybe we have to do a pre-read. Maybe we have to think more carefully about what everyone's role is. Maybe we need to, start the meeting saying, who is the decision maker? Okay, the decision maker is you. Or if you don't know, say, okay, we'll reconvene when we know who it is. Which is tough, but sometimes this is one of those things where, again, with the experiment, if you can get someone fairly senior on board, if I can get my manager to say, for example, Ryan, I would love for you to speak up, and if there's no decider in the meeting, say, we're not going to have the meeting until there is one. I was like, if you do that, then other people will fall in line. If I do it, maybe not so much. But what else?
Make it really, really hard to invite more than 10 people.
Make it hard to invite more than 10 people. Yeah, maybe it's, for the next 3 weeks, let's use only this small conference room for meetings. And so if the people won't fit, rethink it. And it's like, there's always, when you have things like this, there's often times where like, okay, well, we need to break it. But it might be, breaking it into multiple meetings. And one of the things that I've experimented with at now a bunch of companies is doing 6-person meetings for contentious things. And sometimes that means doing 3 separate meetings. But if you have 18 people in a room for something contentious, you will hear from the loud person and the most senior person and no one else. Whereas if you do 6-person meetings, yes, you're having 3 meetings, but then you're not spending 5 hours correcting the damage that was done in the one 18-person meeting. And so, you do this, boom, 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 and then say, okay, this is what was common among the 3, and these are the action items that we propose. Go. You can end up saving a ton of time. So this framework, the kind of complain, summarize, brainstorm, is something we've done with a lot of teams that are kind of in disarray. Newly reorged teams a lot of times, for no fault of the manager's own, it feels uncomfortable. So giving that sense of like, okay, you can complain because people's feelings are valid. If you feel like something is crap or you feel like it's wasting your time or it's the wrong approach and you're not listened to, you will probably subtly undermine this project or feel bad or quit. And none of those are things that your manager or your company wants you to do. But if you can kind of have that complaint, And then the summarizing, which is like, okay, I hear you, like I am validating it. And that sounds very kind of psychology-y, but as humans, we all just kind of want to be heard. And then how could we fix it becomes a kind of call to action to say, okay, we're not going to end in negativity. And I find that even if they're really small things, like we're going to have a template for agendas and we're all going to try and use them for the next 3 weeks, you end up with people feeling incredibly positive. And if you can get someone to do something like fix a meeting to make it a little bit better, then they feel like they can do a lot more. So finally, I'm a big fan of always reviewing what worked and what's next. So this is a quick survey. If you want to take the time and fill that out, I know that we're over time, but if you've got a minute and can fill this out, I would love to hear from you. And yeah, there we are. So thank you all so much. Again, all of this is going to be online. Check out the white paper and the 1ES story because it's pretty interesting stuff. And thank you so much for coming today.